Dahlia, we were talking about when we were on a panel call about the NASA astronaut costume, the spacesuit issues, and while there was several issues that kind of went into why the sizing didn't quite work out, tell me what your thoughts are on about why do women need to be at the table? Why is it important for women to be at the table when important decisions are being made?
We have the population. So that's
true.
That's an accomplishment. So why would have the population give up the right to form products and to form opinions and delegate that to the other half? I think we have the exact right to have a seat at the table and to be able to contribute. Think about a lot of the products that get created, and if we don't have representation that mirrors the society, then we're losing on the opportunity on making them better. So that was a story around basically the spacewalk. I think it was in late March 29th. And it was going to be the first spacewalk in history where that was all women astronauts. And guess what? They only had one suit prepped that was a size medium. The others were size large. So they had to actually keep one of them back because they didn't have a suit that fit her size. I mean, you would think with NASA and the way that they have everything planned just to the nth degree, how could that not have, dawned on them? So I think a lot of it is just, it's not intentional by any means. It's a lot of it is basically people just sometimes forget, and I think it's up to us to remind them to take into account women's needs and how women are also entitled to be represented. And going back to some of the data that Maya was talking about in that story, I was reading in the mid-'80s, I think the representation of women graduates from STEM schools was about 37%, and that kind of mirrored the representation in the workplace. If you fast forward to today, it's about 17%. So it went down compared to the mid-1980s. And there are lots of theories around that, and one of them was around basically that's when Barbie dolls became really, really popular, and you had computers that were now personal computers being introduced at home, and it seems like the advertising was more geared towards girls. Oh, you belong with the Barbie dolls, and the boys were getting the computers. So they got a head start, in kind of understanding the computer science and analytics and things like that. So I think that's something that we have to be careful about and reverse that trend, so we don't unconsciously direct women or girls towards a certain field rather than boys.
Helen, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'd like to add to that is that being present at the table, I've having been in software in over 20 years and being at these different companies, I have found myself as the only woman in a room full of technologists, and I was at a cosmetics company where there were about 40 people, some in the room, some on the phone, but they were making decisions about cosmetics, and I was the only woman in the room. That's not a good thing, and that reminded me of a story of when a lot of these biases that come into the room isn't always not just what's told to you, but it's what you observe. So when my son was about 6 years old, and we were sitting in the piano studio, and he looks over at me and he says, "Mommy, is Mozart dead?" And I said, "Yes, Mozart's dead." "And is Tchaikovsky dead?" "Yes." Schubert, and then we go on, and he listed all these different famous male composers that are dead, and then he stopped and he said, "Do boys with long hair die?" and I looked up and I was like, "Oh yeah, they're all dead." And I said, "You know what? You made a really great decision, or made a great innovation based on the knowledge based on the data that's in front of you. All of these portraits are boys with long hair, and your father's bald, and your brother has short hair, and your uncle has short hair. They're not dead, so we're good. And being the Jersey girl that I am, I had to introduce him to Steven Tyler and Axl Rose and John Bon Jovi and of course Jared Leto from 30 Seconds to Mars. You know, they're awesome. And just imagine if that I was able to, if I wasn't there to provide that perspective, he'd walk around thinking that boys with long hair would die. And so it's offering that extra perspective in the room.
Yeah, so I think there are countless studies about, you know, how profitability increases if you have diverse teams making decisions, how it is important to have diverse on product decisions and things like that. But actually thinking about this, for me, it goes back to, I think we were asking this question too much, right? So why is it good to have women at the table? Why don't we ask, why is it good to have men on the table? I mean, whenever I get this answer, then I can answer as well, why is it good to have women on the table too?